Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and thanks for joining me for today's episode. And guys, today I want to talk about fall bass fishing, specifically the month of October and November, and just give you guys a broad seminar with a lot of good foundational advice on how to catch bass this time of year. Fall is a really good time to fish. Normally by October, fishing starts to get a little bit better. And the thing about fall bass fishing is there's a lot of different options for you guys. So what I want to do in today's video is I sort of want to go over some of the technique options and some of the area options in most lakes across the country. This afternoon I'll probably do like the top 5 lures, but I just want to give you guys some good starting points if you don't have a lot of confidence in catching bass during the fall time. Also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's taken time to subscribe here at Intuitive Angling. Really appreciate that. Appreciate everybody that stepped up and wanted to become a channel member of Intuitive Angling. And finally, guys, thank you very much for using all the links I put in each video description. If you guys have been going into my video descriptions and using and bookmarking my tackle warehouse link for your fishing tackle, getting one of my Fish the Moment Lake Map breakdown, some of my jigs, sunglasses, all that type of stuff. Big thank you for me and my family, because you guys are really helping keep the channel on YouTube, so appreciate that. Okay, we're starting to turn the corner a little bit as far as fall fishing goes. If you guys have been watching the channel much, I've been talking quite a bit about it, and how August and September are, in my opinion, they're the 2 toughest months of the year to fish. It's like bass are hard to catch. There's a lot of different reasons we've talked about in some past videos. But by the time October rolls around, and the time of filming this video, it's October 2nd, you've got some things that start to change, and you've got some movement in the bass in terms that it makes them a little bit more aggressive, a little bit easier to catch. Now, the changes that occur, it's not just one thing. It's a wide variety of things that happen at the same time. Number one is that you got a ever increasing amount of shorter daylight hours. In other words, by the time October gets here, we're losing about 1.5 or 2 minutes per day of sunlight. The sun is getting further and further in the southern sky, so the angle of the sun's different. And then your temperatures are starting to moderate a little bit. Cooler nights, not getting those super hot days like we had. Normally, also in the fall time of the year, the water levels are starting to fall a little bit, and the thermoclines are dissipating. So you got a lot of different things going on that the bass react to, but what all this does more than anything else is it really scatters the bass out, and it puts them in a wide range of positions within a lake based upon the water clarity of the lake. Now, water clarity in the fall time of the year is super, super critical in terms of where you have to look for to catch bass at, because the cleaner the water that you have in a lake, the more options the bass have. So let's say, for example, here in the Ozarks where I live at, some of the lakes around my house, like Beaver Lake and Table Rock and Bull Shoals Lake, depending upon the conditions and the part of the lake you're in, you may have 8 to 10 foot of clarity in some areas. And if you fish maybe in Oklahoma, where you've got dirtier water, like Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma, Grand Lake, all that type of stuff, you don't have those clear water options. So the more clear water you have, the more different depth ranges a fish can use. So in a clear water lake, and when I talk about clear water, let's talk about fall fishing in terms of water clarity. Let's talk about water visibility over 4 feet, water visibility between 2 to 4 feet, and water visibility under 2 feet. Let's classify it in those 3 areas. If you have a lake that has water visibility over 4 foot, you can have bass this time of year on the bottom as deep as 50 or 60 feet. You may have fish suspended over deep water, 5, 10, 15, 20 foot deep, suspended over deeper water. Like, for example, at Table Rock right now, you may have some treetops that are growing out of 90 foot of water, and they come maybe 30 foot to the surface, and the fish could be suspended at those treetops. Then you may have some fish sitting on a point in 20 foot of water, and you may have some fish up cruising looking for bluegills in 2 foot of water. So in a clear water lake in the fall time of the year, October, November, you got a lot of stuff going on. Now, as the water clarity decreases, you start to lose those options a little bit. Now, let's say if you go to the 2 to 4 foot clarity zone, which most lakes in the country have got that type of clarity somewhere on the lake. When you start getting into a little bit more stained water, the fish react to that as well, and they may not move quite as deep. Instead of getting down 50 or 60 feet, 25 to 40 may be the max. There'll probably be fewer suspended fish too. The fish tend to be around structure and on the bottom more as you lose your water visibility, so there'll be less suspended fish, and there still can be a lot of shallow fish in that situation. And then finally, on an off-colored water lake where you have water visibility of under 2 feet, the fish, deep water relative to that, maybe 15 foot, you're not going to have near the amount of suspended bass. The dirtier the water, for the most part, the less number of suspended fish you'll have in the lake, and you tend to have more shallow fish. So that's what you have. That's your frame of reference that you have to have based upon the water clarity in the lake that you fish. Okay, now given that, let's talk about some of my favorite techniques for each one of those water clarity windows. In all three situations, stained water, mid water, and clear water, top water is my favorite thing to fish this time of year. And it can be a wide range. It could be anything from a walking topwater like a spook, to a popper, to a whopper plopper, to a buzz bait, to a wake bait. It can be anything, because every lake sort of has a couple different topwaters that work good for that lake. So concentrate on that a lot in the fall time of the year. In a dirty water lake, for example, maybe a buzz bait's going to work better. In that mid-depth zone type water, 2 to 4 foot, maybe like a popper and a whopper plopper could work good. And maybe in the clear water lake, a walking bait or a wake bait, or again, even the whopper plopper could work good. So try topwater, guys. And another thing about topwater in the fall time of the year, it works all day long. It's committing to the thing, it's picking it up, throwing it all day long, trying to isolate the type of cover that the fish are on with that. Okay, the next thing with that, back to the clear water, another one of my favorite clear water fall time techniques is fishing a finesse jig on bluff or steep banks. This is a really good way to catch them. Guys, try that power finesse jig of mine from Cumberland Pro Lures. I'll put that Tackle Warehouse link in the description. Get you like a brown or green with purple with purple rubber in it. Put you a green pumpkin chunk. And in those clear water situations, and in that water visibility of 2 to 4 foot, get out on those main lake and creek bluffs and cast that finesse jig to those bluffs. Work it down 5 to 20 foot deep. I catch a lot of fish in a situation like that. Another thing that works really good in the fall time of the year in your mid-level clarity lakes to the clear water lakes is burning a spinnerbait. Little bitty spinnerbait like that Megabass SV3. Get out on main lake and secondary points, get out on steep banks, riprap, days that have wind with some overcast on it, and burn that little spinnerbait about that far underneath the water, especially around any shady banks. Guys, that's one of the funnest ways that you'll ever have to catch fish. It just works really, really good that time of year. Another thing that's starting to work a little bit as far as in that mid-range zone a little bit, and again, it depends on how everything is set up, but some type of a crankbait can work good. As that water temperature starts to get down into the 60s, like in November, that wiggle wart is a really good bait. A lot of people don't equate it as a fall time bait, but it's more of a pre-spawn deal. But guys, I've caught a ton of fish on a wiggle wart in late October, November, just cranking rocky banks with it if I have that water visibility of 2 to 4 foot. And finally, in the dirtier water lakes, square bill crankbait is going to be hard to beat. Square bill crankbait, fishing around any shallow targets, pitching a jig. This is the time of year I really like to go to jig. Pitching a jig around any shallow targets. Maybe a chatterbait can work real good. If you have a stained water lake that has boat docks or lay down wood cover, prime pieces of cover for fish that time of year. Really good way to catch them. Mainly with that, it's like every lake that you're going to have is going to have techniques that really dictate to the cover of that lake. Now, because a lake in the fall time of the year that has grass on it is going to fish a lot different than a non-grass lake. So there's going to be a lot of technique-specific lakes in terms of that goes. But I'll tell you one overriding theme that I have found in the fall time, and this isn't true all the time, but it is the overriding theme. Bass in October and November tend to like reaction lures and moving baits better than slow baits. The only exception to that is if you have dirty, shallow water with a lot of cover in it, and then the jig or creature bait can be good. But if you have water visibility, specifically over 2 or 3 foot of clarity, this is the time of year to go with the moving bait. The top waters, glide baits, swim baits, spinner baits, crankbaits, anything like that. Bass really are in more of a chasing mood this time of year, especially once that water temperature starts to get down in the 60s and the 50s. So really take advantage of that. And guys, one final thing I'll tell you about fall fishing is try to get out there on days that are cloudy and windy. It's like out of all the year, of 12 months out of the year, October and November is more cloud and wind dependent than any other month out there. It'll make the difference, the night and day difference. You can go out there on a day like today, it's bluebird sky here, not much wind at all, and you may go fishing and struggle. But say tomorrow we get a front coming in, it starts raining tomorrow morning, and the wind starts blowing 10 or 15 miles an hour, you can go back to those same areas where you didn't even think there was a fish there, and you can rip them because the fish get really active, with low light conditions and clouds this time of year. So anyway, hope that helps you guys out. That's just a sort of a brief seminar with it. Hope it helps you guys catch some good ones, and we'll talk later.